even if you don't consciously think you deserve something, if you unconsciously, subconsciously have a low level of self-worth, you're probably attracting that negativity into your life. And until you shift that, it's not going to make sense, and you're not going to be able to get out of those toxic relationships.
And you feel like someone out there, whether it's an intimate partner or a friend or a family member, is out there trying to keep you small, because if you did have high self-worth and you did know your real value, you would leave. It's time to wake up.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was last week's live Q&A. How do you separate good comparison from bad comparison? Episode number 864. Today, for episode number 865, one huge reason many relationships are toxic. Taryn and I went to dinner this weekend with a couple friends of ours, friends who are a couple, and we were at the dinner table talking about relationships. And it was very interesting because the people we were with, Taryn said something. Well, let me tell you the story. We were sitting there and we were talking about another couple that we both know. And the other couple was mentioning how their relationship was kind of on the fritz and it wasn't super positive and they weren't necessarily kind to each other. And there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of ego. There was a lot of disrespect. And Taryn said to this person, she said, "Why are you friends with them if there's so much negativity?" And it was this very interesting conversation at dinner. And it was deep, but it was very well done. And Taryn and I talked about it on the ride home. And I was like, I really appreciated and was into the way that you were able to navigate that conversation, because that was very, very impressive. But the conversation at the dinner table shifted to, why are so many relationships not positive? Why are one or both of the partners oftentimes very, very miserable? Why do these relationships not last? And I simply said two words. I said, self-worth. At some point, if you're watching this or if you're listening, you've probably dealt with some self-worth issue in some way, shape, or form. But imagine you bring that into a relationship. If you have a low level of self-worth, you probably attract somebody who is delusionally confident. So they might have an overly high level of self-worth. And imagine this. If you have somebody who has a low level of self-worth and somebody who has an overly high level of self-worth, what's going to happen? That person with the overly high level is probably going to talk down to the person with low self-worth. They're probably going to disrespect them. And the person with low self-worth might not have the confidence or the belief in themselves to leave that relationship. I believe self-worth is the through line of most relationships. Tara and I were talking the other day in the kitchen, and we were talking about how in one of my old relationships, I don't know if I was physically cheated on. I was definitely emotionally cheated on. And I said, what's funny? I didn't leave. I stayed. I didn't leave this relationship, even though I was very, very hurt. I was super insecure. There were so many trust issues. And she said, "Why didn't you leave?" And I said, "Because I had very, 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 very low self-worth." And I didn't necessarily think I deserved it, but I also didn't think I deserved any better. So I wasn't willing to take that chance and leave that relationship behind. So the goal for this episode, a couple of things. One, really, really check in with your self-worth, because you have to understand you are attracting what you think you deserve in a lot of ways. Even if you don't consciously think you deserve something, if you unconsciously, subconsciously have a low level of self-worth, you're probably attracting that negativity into your life. And until you shift that, it's not going to make sense, and you're not going to be able to get out of those toxic relationships.
So there's so many ways we can go with this, but first I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Emilia. She helped me understand that self-worth and self-belief are two different things. Self-belief is confidence in one's own abilities to achieve something. Self-worth is the amount of value that you place upon your own identity. And I'm going to use an analogy here to help all of our viewers, all of our listeners really understand what we mean here by self-worth. And I couldn't agree more with what Kevin said. It's so clear that the through line of every relationship, including the relationship you have with yourself, is self-worth. As a matter of fact, we later on probably 650, maybe 700 episodes in, we realized that I think low self-worth and self-worth as a challenge is actually what has created this NLU community.
For sure.
Kevin and I have a common wound, and we have a common aspiration, and we have common core values. The common aspiration is to have the most successful, holistic self-improvement podcast on the planet in history. The common core value is holistic self-improvement, health, wealth, and love. The common wound is that we both grew up without fathers. We both never felt good enough. We both struggle with self-worth. Still to this day, we have trouble setting certain boundaries. And you know, I'll be honest on this show, there's certain things that I feel very competent in, things that I feel very, very good at. When it comes to the self-worth piece, I did not understand that I had that challenge. And then because I didn't understand that I did until Emilia illuminated it, she said this, she said, Alan, someone with high self-worth would never have put themselves in an environment like that. And she was referring to a party that I was at that I invited her to. And she said afterwards that she never wants to do anything like that again, because that was an extremely toxic environment. And in hindsight, from this level of awareness, it's like so obvious. It's like, wow, that's a very, very toxic, non-growth oriented environment. And so if you're out there listening or viewing this, you most likely have a self-worth issue. That has been the through line in our community. That's okay. Kevin has one, I do too. We're not saying that because we want to live in low self-worth. We're saying that because we want to admit that this is a challenge for us and that we want to build it, get to the next level of self-worth. Self-esteem and self-worth. Self-esteem is the short-term version of self-worth. So here's the analogy. Kevin and I decide to build a home, and it's a palace. And we're like, yeah, $2.5 million each. We're going to buy a palace.
I'm in.
Build a palace on the ocean. You and me, Kev. 2.5 mil each.
I'm in.
Invested. Okay. Best designer, best architect, best carpenters, best whatever other things, build homes. I don't know construction, right? And we're going to build this thing. A year from now, the palace is built. Okay. First of all, the $2.5 million that we each invested did not go away. It now is in the families of those workers, education, food on their tables, whatever they decided to do with it. And the palace is still worth the $5 million, which, by the way, if we take care of it, it will appreciate in value. It will grow in value. So let's say it's a year from now, the palace is built, it's worth $5 million. The $5 million is in the hands of the workers and the architects, all that. A year from then, now it's worth $6 million. And by the way, all the other homes around it are now worth more because this is on the side of a mountain and the palace is beautiful. And it's now a better community, a better area. Now imagine Kevin and I decide to take our amazing palace that we redid the bathrooms and we redid the kitchen and we are constantly innovating and improving our palace. And we're making it better every single day. We're putting in conscious effort and money to make it better. And then we decide to host a frat party in the basement. And we let everybody spill beer all over the carpets. And we let people ruin the towels in the bathroom. And we let people, spit all over us, for lack of better phrasing. That is low self-worth.
Hey Kevin, Kim here. Just wanted to send you a video to say thank you so much for your help on creating the Peaceful Productivity Podcast. I couldn't have done it without you. I knew you'd be lots of great help with the technical aspects of getting the podcast going, but you went well above and beyond that. You helped me with the strategy and you gave me all kinds of really great support. I think the key to success in business is a great attitude, and you have that in spades. You really walk the walk. So thanks again. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
See, if you're out there right now and you don't work on yourself and you don't put in the effort to be a really incredible person and you're not working hard to grow and to learn and to be better every single day, like in this analogy, improving the kitchen, improving the bathrooms, redoing the ceilings, making sure the roof doesn't leak. See, Kevin and I, we didn't know this, but when we started this journey together, we were building a palace. What we didn't realize is that we were inviting a frat party in to spill beer on the carpets because of our own poor self-worth. We didn't know our real value, and now we do, and that's why you've seen so much shift in us. What we want for you on this episode is to look at your own self-worth challenge. I'll be quick about this, but we were on a relationship talks this past weekend with this incredible young woman. And there's a simple question that I like to ask whenever I'm doing a relationship talks with someone who I believe struggles with self-worth and who is what I refer to as the turtle in the relationship. Kevin mentioned the pufferfish and the turtle, the person who puffs up and has inflated self-worth versus the person who deflates their self-worth, and how that can be toxic. And I asked this simple question, and I want you to ask it to yourself. Would someone with high self-worth still be in this relationship? I have a relationship in my past where if someone asked me that, if Kevin said, Alan, would someone with high self-worth be in this relationship? I not only would have said no, I would have said, hell no. Hell no. So if you're out there and you feel like someone out there, whether it's an intimate partner or a friend or a family member, is out there trying to keep you small because if you did have high self-worth and you did know your real value, you would leave, it's time to wake up. And that's what this episode's about.
And I think everybody, and I don't mean this in a negative way, Alan and myself included, I think everybody is off. I don't know that anybody is fully understanding of where they actually are. I think most people are over or under. The people who are over on the self-worth might not even know. They just might think they have a normal, neutral level of self-worth when their thoughts, behaviors, the way they treat others might not indicate that, and then vice versa. On the other end, if you're settling for way less than you deserve, you probably have a low level of self-worth. If you always think you deserve more, maybe it's potential that you have a high level of self-worth and it might be delusional. Again, I don't know because I don't know you. Specifically, if you're watching or listening to this, you have to check in with this. But go back into your past and think, how many of your relationships have, in all, intimate friendships, family, all of them, occupation, whatever it may be, how many times have you said, I should really leave, but I don't have the courage, or I don't deserve this, I deserve better, but I don't know what to do about it? There's a good chance that maybe you have a low level of self-worth, and then vice versa as well. We wanted to touch on this because relationships are something that most human beings have. I mean, intimate relationships, most people try to get into them at some point in their lives. And if you don't know these things, if you don't practice these things, if you don't look in the proverbial mirror, you're not going to succeed. And if you have a string of quote unquote failed relationships, you're not going to think you deserve much. And that just isn't the truth. We just have to do the inner work and find a partner who is willing to do the inner work with you. Look at this, Alan. Wow.
Kev, strong work. Kev, I know you got to go, but real quick question for Kev.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I know you got to jump.
Sure.
How does someone build their self-worth? Let's give them that.
Oh, goodness gracious. I want to ask you that because I think you probably have a better framework than I do.
Oh, I appreciate it. So my answer is keeping the promises you make to yourself. And this is a saying that you've probably heard me quote many times. If you had a friend or family member or intimate partner who broke as many promises to you as you have broken to yourself, how much would you value that friendship or that relationship or that family relationship? The answer is not very much. So when you're breaking promises to yourself, when you say you're going to do that thing and don't do it, when your intuition says, say that, tell the truth, and you don't, it hurts your self-worth. I believe this to be my biggest challenge, genuinely. There are many messages that I have to send to certain people with my candor, with my truth. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if they knew the truth, they might villainize me, or they might be mad at me, or they might not like me, or I will be alone, or whatever. And I know that's a story that I've told myself. But I need to do that because that's a promise I've made to myself. I have it written on my whiteboard. Courage and candor. True North 2022. Courage and candor. I have to have the courage to speak my truth, and I have to have the candor of telling others, and I've been leaning into that, and it's been working really wonderfully, and things don't turn out quite as bad as you think. So keep the promises you make to yourself, and you'll build your self-worth.
And stand up for yourself. And I think that goes in alignment with what Alan said. Alan, talk about the event, because I have a call here in a couple minutes.
Okay, so if you look below, join us at our first live event of the year, March 26th, 2022. It's at the AC Marriott in Worcester. 50 tickets, 4 speakers, half a day, continental breakfast. It's going to be truly magnificent. Thank you, brother. I think Kevin just got impressed with my my ability to hit those bullet points. No, but seriously, if you struggle with self-worth, you need to get around some people that are dealing with that and that can help you improve that. These are going to be people who want to support you. These are not going to be the pufferfish people of the world that think the world of themselves and want to bash you down and keep you small. This is the opposite of that. If you love this podcast, if the core values and core aspirations of this show resonate with your soul, that is a room you belong in. If you're local, join us. It's $97. It is so unreasonably cheap for the amount of value. Tori Aletto's headlining. Dr. Taryn McCarthy is going to talk about core values and intentions. Kevin and myself are speaking. Half day, full immersion event. You're going to leave with a workbook. Kevin has to go, so we got to jump. But please join us. Reach out to Kevin or myself. Click the link in the show notes. Check out the landing page. Check out the frequently asked questions about COVID. We are taking every precaution necessary. Please join us March 26th in Worcester at the Marriott.
And if you can't make it, maybe you're not in the area and you feel like I've been letting myself down a lot. Maybe I've bought a bunch of books. Maybe I have downloaded a bunch of audiobooks, but I'm not getting any traction. I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. Click the link in the show notes for the free course. We have a free course, totally free. You can take it at your own pace. It is very valuable. Alan and I spent an entire 7 or 8 hour Saturday or Sunday putting it together, and we just want to help you get to the next level. Commit to saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 5 minutes a day. I'm going to do 10 minutes a day, and stand up for yourself. And sometimes standing up for yourself means getting out of your own way. I know I've had to do that, and I have to continue doing that, as does Alan. Next Level Nation, as always, we appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. Alan and I both have calls, so we have to go. We will talk to you tomorrow. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family.
Please reach out.